r/AskReddit. Kids, when did you realize your parents might be terminally stupid? This one is double-sided because it simultaneously showcased how smart and dumb my dad is. Basically, he fell for that online iTunes gift card scam. You know, one of your friend emails get hacked and you receive an email from them asking you to buy these gift cards and mail them to whatever address. Well, at the time an organization my dad is on the board of was hosting a big giveaway and the email he got came from another board member. So he assumed he was picking up prizes for this giveaway. However, because my dad is a moron, he didn't follow all the instructions of the email. He bought the cards and then texted his buddy to ask what he wanted done with them. Said buddy called my dad an idiot and explained the scam he had just fallen for. Now this is where IT gets good. My dad knew that if my mom found out he had spent $400 on gift cards, he would be sleeping in the kennel with his hounds for at least a month. He also knew that if he didn't tell her and she found out some other way, his fate would be even worse. So he partially fessed up, told my mom he fell for the scam with a haha I'm so stupid look on his face, but told her each gift card was for $25. So she said no big deal, we'll give them to Grey Skies Green Eyes for Christmas. So after I had been presented with my $50 in iTunes cards, I was silently pulled aside by my dad and told there's actually $200 on each card. Merry Christmas, and for God's sake, don't tell your mother. A mentally challenged genius that man is. On my way to school a couple of years ago, they were talking about people who fell for scams. A caller was talking about how she fell for a similar scam, but the person said that they were from the government and would give them a $500 reward if they bought a $100 gift card and read them the code. We have people call my workplace all the time. We sell gift cards. To try and pull this kind of thing, they give some BS employee ad number that sounds all official and ask for your name and position, and try to get you to ring up a gift card, usually a bunch of different ones, and read the numbers back to them and run it as a cash transaction to check the system because there's a glitch or malfunction or something like that. I usually led them on for a while before telling them how inept they are and hanging up. Also had one guy who clearly fished for names beforehand. Tried to say he was the manager. Casey, I was just all wow. Miss Casey, you sound funny. Did it. Ongs my first ever Reddit gold. Who knew my scammer time stories would bring me wild internet riches? Thank you, stranger. My parents made me take piano lessons since I was 9. When I told them I wanted to be a professional pianist, they were ashamed. Shocked Pikachu face. I really hope you're a professional pianist. My mom asked whether World War I or II came first. My mom got a large inheritance, used it to remodel her house she hadn't paid off, then took a line of credit out on it months after the housing crash. This is the single stupidest thing I have ever seen someone do with so much planning involved. It took months for this dumb plan to happen and I tried to dissuade her every step of the way. It's one thing to put a fork in an electrical socket, at a totally different thing to hire a carpenter to build a house. Hire an electrician to wire it, go to Target to buy a fork, then put it in the socket. The thing with not so smart people who think they're smart is that it's nearly impossible to get them to listen to reason, especially if they have a plan. Stick to the plan, Arthur. My dad ate baby shower favors made of soap that he thought was molded chocolate twice. Edit. Holy shit, I was not at all expecting this to blow up the way it did. Thanks for the gold. I also thought you might find it interesting that my dad would be considered a very smart man by most people. He has 3 college degrees and is a forensic scientist. Every time I text my mom and she gets confused over a simple 2-sentence statement. For example, I went to the store because I wanted chocolate. Her, oh, you should go to the store and get some. What, mom? Edit. Yeah, I goofed hard and only wrote 1 sentence. Edit 2. Holy shit, my most upvoted comment is of my mom being a ditz sometimes. My mom gets confused by what I'm saying because she will assume something, and when I get to the important part it doesn't fit into the concept she assumed was what I was going to say. So I have to go back to the start. She gets bored with that part and ignores me, so then she gets confused again. Your mom isn't stupid. She's what we call a terrible listener. Damn, I would be careful around him. You don't want to anger a man with a raccoon army. Jesus Christ, I think her father-in-law is Danny DeVito. My mother left an abusive man who beat the shit out of us for around a decade. She promised that nightmare was over and we would never see him again. She started dating a guy almost immediately who was exactly like him but also tried to duck my sister while she was going to bed. They're engaged now. Edit. Mom's engaged, not my sister. You must have rolled a genetic snake eyes to dodge that desperation chromosome. My dad once told me he had pancreatic cancer. I asked what stage. He said stage 3. I was devastated. Later on during the day, I asked my brother. He lives with him. Dude, why didn't you tell me he had cancer? My brother had the most confusing look and said he doesn't have cancer. He's been on this diet he saw on TV that consists of rice and vegetables. He's been eating like 1,000 calories a day for the past few weeks. He googled his symptoms on WebMD and thinks he has cancer. Yeah, my dad is an idiot. Terminal idiot. Terminal? Number. Just a stage 3 idiot. Why would the doctor on the computer lie to me? My mom wanted to drive to the new Google office building to complain about her Yahoo email account. I barely managed to convince her that they are different companies. Edit. Thanks for the upvotes, comments and silver. My mom is very smart but lacks common sense. I spend most of my time trying to convince her not to do stupid things. Perhaps I should just let her do it and film it. If I couldn't convince my mom of this in less than 30 seconds, I'd let her go. Yeah, sounds like a funny adventure to go on TBH. My mom decided that she was going to move to teach in Saudi Arabia. She's a single woman. She recently ended a lesbian relationship, one of several lesbian relationships that she has posted about on Facebook, where literally everyone can see it. It took multiple family members to convince her that this was not a good idea. Edit. To address a recurring theme in the comments, that as long as she didn't bring it up she'd be fine, because people don't care about foreigners past there or something. This would not be the first Muslim country she moved to teach in. And the last one she'd gone to she tried to start a lesbian relationship in. One of the other places she was considering moving was a small town in Alaska with less than 500 people in it. This is a woman who has previously broken her leg from walking on a flat surface. And this town was a 2-hour flight away from the nearest hospital. And another time she almost got involved in a pyramid scheme because she was convinced that it wasn't a pyramid scheme because those are illegal and therefore don't exist. Both of the above also took multiple family members to talk her out of. It took multiple family members to convince her that this was not a good idea. Oh, thank God. I read that first sentence and thought she went anyway. Yeah, she could have ended up dead, or at least have a terrible time. When my father went on Facebook and explained all about how the earth is flat, my grandfather actually told him to change his name since dad is named after granddad. I love your grandfather. I wish that grandfather was my grandfather. Then I'd have 2 grandfathers. In high school, grades were posted online. Dad wanted to check how poorly I was doing. I told him the internet is closed because it was after 5 PM. Should have inspect elemented, screenshotted, then showed that after the internet closes. Every time I watch a movie with my mom and she says, "Who's that?" or "What's going on, Mom? I'm watching the movie with you. I haven't seen it either. Is your mom my toddler? Does she also spend so long asking questions nobody knows the answer to yet that she misses more of the movie and has to ask more questions? My mom does and it drives me crazy. My mom drove to my apartment because the radio in her car wasn't working. She was sure there was something wrong with her Sirius. I pushed the volume knob, which doubles as a power button, and turned the thing on. There was nothing wrong with it. It was simply off. Maybe she just wanted to see you. This is subconsciously really depressing and makes me wish I spent more time with my mom when I was a kid. Dad introduces me to someone I've never met. Dad, do you recognize this person? Me. 24 years old. No. Dad, but she held you when you were a baby. Oh God. My dad's family does this shit all the time. Don't you remember them? You went over their house once when you were 3. I'm 35 now. Of course I don't ducking remember. How the duck? Trying to explain the difference between Wi-Fi and LTE to my mother in order to save her from data overages. Might as well try to teach calculus to a toddler. Think of the phone as a water bottle. and internet connection is water. When you are at home, you pay for a water connection to your house, so you can fill up your water bottle over and over again and not worry. Drink water all day. That's Wi-Fi. Open bracket. Make sure she knows to look for the Wi-Fi on icon on her phone at home. But when you are out in public, you can't just refill that bottle. You have to ration your water so you don't drink it all. Because then if you empty your bottle when you're away from home, you will have to buy more water and pay extra money. Things like YouTube or Facebook make you extra thirsty. That's using data. Sometimes you can go to stores or cafes and ask them to fill up your bottle, but you don't know how pure the water is or if there is bad stuff in there. Open bracket. Public Wi-Fi isn't super safe, so that should only be used if you're very thirsty. Places like other people's houses or workplaces can also possibly fill your bottle up for you, but ask first. I dunno. That's about as easy as I can think of while getting all the necessary information across that an older person would need. Edit. Maybe a better comparison would be paper cups of water for Wi-Fi and a refillable bottle for LTE. So she doesn't think that every time she uses Wi-Fi her data is replenished. Edit 2. Whoa. Reddit Gold is like a fancy biscuit. I'm glad that some of you are finding this so helpful to use. However, I will say that one commenter's correction that Wi-Fi is more like a water fountain for drinking is probably better, versus a water bottle with certain monthly amount for data. So the explainee doesn't think they can refill monthly data by using Wi-Fi. That error occurred to me right after posting. I take that particular aspect for granted, so I didn't even think of that when I originally wrote the analogy. For those who say I'm a dumbass who knows nothing about Wi-Fi, you're partially right. I have no tech background, but I was not trying to explain literally what it is, just trying to make an analogy for data versus Wi-Fi usage that a non-tech person could understand. I watched my dad, a very tech-minded guy, explain to my grandparents all about Wi-Fi versus data, and they were completely lost. I thought that an analogy to a familiar item might be helpful, if a little flawed. No, I'm not a teacher, but thank you guys for all the feedback. R/Eli5 game is on point.